So today we're going to work on moving our energy upward and outward as a way to help us sustain poses, maybe get a little stronger and stay in them longer, or maybe go a little bit deeper and get a little bit more flexible. So we're going to start with a seated warm-up. You could sit up on a block like I am. You might want to have a blanket to pad your knees or a yoga strap. And as always, we'll start with the breath. So I invite you to sit up tall and close your eyes. Maybe rest one hand on your abdomen. Inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the nose. And as you do, being certain that your belly is filling on the inhale and gently drawing toward the spine on the exhale. So continuing to focus on your breath, I invite you to set an intention. So where is it on your mat that you'd like to be stronger or more flexible? Or what is it that you want to reach a little bit further for? And once you've set that as your intention, let it go and take one more deep breath. And we'll begin to move. I'm going to come off my block, but you don't have to. So we're going to take our rib cage in a circle this morning. Doesn't matter which direction. Just start forward on an inhale and go around to one side like you're scraping the sides of a barrel with your ribs. So we inhale forward, exhale backwards. Do that a few more times in this direction, maybe involving the shoulders and the head. Just keep rooting your hips down, focusing on the breath. And then we'll go the other direction. So the interesting thing about moving energy upward is you really have to ground your foundation downward first. So here, think about grounding your hips and moving lightly from there. A couple more in this direction. And then come on back to center. Inhale deeply. Feel that energy in your spine, and then drop your chin to your chest. And just slowly and gently do those half head circles, taking one ear to the shoulder and then the other. One more time, each ear. Drop your chin to your chest, and then bring your head right back over your shoulders, and take your shoulders up, back, and down, and make that spine a little bit longer. And then take one arm straight up in the air. Reach the other arm slightly away from the body and fold straight to the side. So this is a great way to feel the groundedness in your opposite hip. And then the energy reaching out and up through the arm. And inhaling, come on back to center. We'll go to the other side. Inhaling deeply, and then exhaling, softening into the pose. Ground your hips. Send the energy out and up through your arm. Good. Inhaling, come on back up to center. We're going to turn sideways on our mat. Just gently windshield wipe your knees from side to side, so you might keep your feet flexed here. It'll help protect your knees. So just feeling into the hips, gentle spinal twist. One more time each side. And then plant your feet hip width apart. If it's safe for your spine, lift your arms and we're just going to roll down. Using your belly muscles, no pain in the low back. You can always rest your hands. 3, 2, and 1. Plant those feet again. Tuck your shoulder blades together. We're going to do a few bridge poses. So this is another good place to feel how you root your feet before you raise your hips upward. So big toe, pinky toe, center of the heel, and inhale, lift your hips. And exhale, drop them down. Feel those feet spread wide, root again. Inhaling, lift your hips. And exhaling down. So one more time, maybe walk your heels a little bit closer to your hips if you can. Touch those heels. Tuck your shoulder blades together and inhale, lift your hips. We're going to stay here, so maybe you want to walk your shoulder blades a little bit closer together. So feel the backs of the shoulders are rooting. Again, the big toe, the pinky toe, the center of the heel rooting. And maybe see if you can lift a little higher. Come back to your breath and that intention that you set. Honoring your own practice. And exhaling, gently release. Go ahead and draw those knees into your chest. Maybe rock from side to side a little bit. Make some circles with your ankles in one direction, and then another direction. And then cross one knee over the other, close together. If you wanted to get a little more action in the hips, you could think about holding both of the ankles for a breath or two. You'll feel that in the outside of the hip, the top leg. And then maybe still holding that top leg, release the other hand. Slowly and gently roll yourself toward the opposite side, so away from the top foot side. You find your feet as an anchor. Maybe take your arms out to the side and then draw your upper body way back. Maybe even turn your head away from your knees. So this might be a place where you want to allow yourself to stay a little bit longer than you normally would. Can you let the lower body be heavy and the upper body be light? You might find that ankle with a hand again. Use your low belly to bring yourself back to center, uncross the legs, maybe shake the feet a little bit. When you're ready, we'll go to the other side. So cross the other knee on top. Maybe you want to grab hold of your ankles. Again, you keep the feet flexed here to protect your knees. Just breathe into the hips a little bit. So if it's hard for you to find your ankles, you could just do it with your shins, closer to the knee. Feels pretty good too. So maybe holding on to that top leg and then twisting to the other side. When you've grounded your lower body, maybe take your upper body, peel it back, open up the arms and shoulders, and just breathe. And then maybe find that top ankle or shin again. Help bring yourself back to center. Go ahead and shake your legs out again. So we're going to do a pose laying on our backs, which is essentially is the same as Malasana, or that yoga squat, which we're going to try standing. So pull your low belly in, take your elbows to the inside of your knees if you can. Grab a hold of the outside of your feet, or you could take a yoga strap and put them over the balls of your feet. Or you could hold the backs of your thighs. So we're drawing our knees to the outside of our ribs. Keep your sacrum on the mat. It's a little bit early in the practice, so you want to be careful of your low back. Maybe you want to rock side to side a little bit. So draw that energy outward through the knees. Out through the crown of the head. Just make more space. And then gently bring the soles of the feet back together. Plant those feet. So pose and counter pose, maybe rooting those feet one more time and taking a light, easy bridge pose. Notice how this feels. Maybe a little bit different than the first one. And exhaling, gently release. So we're gonna either rock from your shoulders to your hips to come to seated or just roll to one side. If you're able to come onto your knees and then to all fours, or just find all fours. And then walk your hands forward over your shoulders so that you can curl your toes under and come to the top of your push-up plank. Maybe we'll hold this a little bit longer. Spread the collarbones and the shoulder blades evenly wide. I have a habit of letting my head dip. Try not to do that. Reach the crown of the head. Outward, heels outward. Abdominal muscles pulling in. Maybe rock on your toes a little bit. And then on an exhale, lift your hips up and back, squeezing your upper arms together for downward facing dog. So you could keep your knees a little bit bent here. More important to get that openness in the spine and the chest and the shoulders. Maybe you want to walk your dog. So remember, this is all about cultivating your practice. So if you want to stay in a pose longer, you feel free. But if you're ready, look at your thumbs, bend your knees a little bit, and start to tiptoe your feet in to meet your hands. Yoga blocks a great way to make your arms longer. Feel into those back of the thighs. Root the lower legs. This is a classic root to rise, so root those feet down. Stretch your spine out long. Take your elbows out like somebody's lifting you from the elbows and the wrists, fingertips up in the air. And exhale your hands to your heart. So another great pose for extending our energy outward and upward is Warrior Two. So take a super wide straddle. Right. And then turn, let's see, I'll be your mirror. Turn your right toes out. Right? Maybe you're so wide that your heels are right, your ankles are right under your wrists. Look at your big toe, and then take the knee right out over the middle of the foot. So bend and straighten that knee a little bit, a few times. Just feeling into the hip joints. Root those feet, especially the outer edge of your back foot. The big toe, the pinky toe, and the middle of the heel and the front foot. Now that you've rooted your pose, take the energy out through your hands and up through the crown of your head. Deep exhale. And then inhale, straighten that knee. And just heel toe your back foot in a little bit. And then take your front foot closer to the side of your mat. So we've made some space down the middle of our mat. And turn my back toes even more forward so that they're on a diagonal. And again, root your feet. Lift your chest. And as you exhale, take your front knee right over the middle of the foot again. You should still be able to see your big toe. Root the big toe mound, the pinky toe side, the middle of the heel. Do that on both feet. And now that you're rooted, inhale. Sweep your arms outward and upward, making lots of space in the rib cage. opening up the lungs and the heart. Inhaling, straighten that front leg, bring your hands back to your hips. Turn all 10 toes to the side of your mat. Again, you'll see that you're a little bit crooked. So we'll take a moment to even ourselves out. Get ready to go right to the other side. Take a breath, big wide straddle. And then turn the other toes outward, heel to arch alignment. All the edges of the feet, rooting. And then exhale, knee right over the middle of the toes. And give it a little stretch and release. And move that energy up, out from your nice firm base. One more deep exhale. And inhale. Straighten your legs. Heel toe that back foot in a little bit. You could always be holding onto the wall or a chair for balance, right? And then take the front foot to the edge of the mat so you've made yourself some space. Down the middle. Turn those back toes more forward. Get really, really tall. And then exhale. Front knee right over the middle of the foot. And then inhale. Spread some energy. So how we do our poses is just as important as the poses that we do. Nice. And inhaling, straighten that front leg, hands to the hips. You can see we're a little crooked. Just even yourself out. Heel toe your way into Tadasana. Feet 2 fist widths apart. Roll your shoulders up, back, and down. Drop your tailbone. Keep your heart lifted and just take a couple of breaths. So now we've got all that energy moving in our body. One more pose to think about. Taking the energy outward and upward. It's kind of counterintuitive because the Malasana squat, we're actually going to drop down toward the earth. You want to feel like your energy is lifting upward. So take your feet a little bit wider, as wide as your shoulders, and then turn your toes outward a little bit. So if this pose is hard for you, you could stick your heels on the blanket. And that's going to help. All right, so no pain in the knee. You only go as far as you can go. You could always sit in a chair and fold forward. You could get back on your back and make the happy baby pose. It's essentially the same thing, right? So bring your hands to your heart center. And inhaling, I want you to feel all your energy lifting up and out through the crown of the head. Then wiggle your toes and keep your elevator going up as you sit down into your heels. So just keep the energy going upward, outward through the collarbone, upward through the crown of the head, especially on the exhales, drawing the energy upward. You can have your elbows pushing your knees outward energy that way. Still on the exhale, it's right up through the center of the spine, through the crown of the head. Again, another pose, you could stay for a little bit longer than you normally would. So here's what you never want to do as you come out of the pose. Do not fold your knees inward. You could maybe find the mat, keep pushing the knees outward, or hold on to your shins, pull that low belly in, lift your hips upward. Keep the spine nice and long. Inhaling, bring your hands to your heart center. If you use the blanket, come off the blanket and come back to Tadasana. inhale, take your arms up overhead. Exhaling, gently dive forward, let your head hang. Inhale, fingertips under the knees, 1 half forward fold. Exhaling, gently soften the knees, take your hands to the mat. We're coming back to that top of the push-up plank. Breath here. And then float the knees down and take some version of a child's pose. Whatever works for you. Knees wide, arms on a chair, roll back on your back and draw your knees into your chest. So this is going to be our stillness to end our practice. And then we will do a very brief loving kindness meditation. So use this as your shavasana. Go into a brief shavasana if you like, on your back or on your belly. A couple more breaths. One deep exhale wherever you are. And then safely transition yourself to an easy seated pose. Again, it could be in a chair, on a block, on your blanket. So once you get yourself seated, it's going to be a very brief version of a loving kindness meditation. You might want to turn your palms facing up as a way to sort of spread that good energy you've created and also receive good energy. So I invite you to close your eyes. Feel your pelvis, your hips grounded, your legs heavy, light energy up through the crown of the head. And say to yourself, may I feel loved. May I be peaceful. May I be content. May I be free. Then I invite you to call to mind some part of your community, your neighbors, or a faith community, or a work group, or a team. And think to yourself, may they feel loved. May they be peaceful. May they be content. May they be free. On an inhale, bring your hands to your heart center. May all people everywhere feel loved and be peaceful and content and free. And may we aid in their freedom with our thoughts, words, and actions. One more deep inhale. Feel that spine getting longer as the lower body roots down. Exhaling, bow your head to your heart for showing up on your mat. Getting what you needed from this practice so that you can be your best for others. The Spirit in me honors the Spirit in each of you. Thanks for practicing with me. Namaste.